We will be recording the this webinar this morning, so if you've got colleagues that aren't able to join, we will be able to give you a version later on. So in terms of what we're looking to cover today, so this is off the back of E92 taking on Trend Micro as a new vendor. Historically, many years ago, E92 worked with Trend Micro, and we're reinitiating that relationship. And we wanted to make sure that all the partners that trade regularly with E92 are familiar with what Trend Micro can offer. I think there's often a misconception in the marketplace that Trend Micro is just an AV vendor. You know, we are an all-encompassing security provider of all sorts of different software and technologies. So really today is to give you visibility of what technologies we have. We're not going to go into them in great detail. We will be doing subsequent presentations to go into the detail, but really today is to give you a top-level view of what it is that Trend Micro can offer via E92, and also from a partner perspective, the partner program itself, how you can utilize that, and what sort of benefits you can get. So I think I will then get started. Oh, what's going on now? Just lost the screen. So hopefully you can see that. By the way, don't be scared. I'm not going through all of these slides today. I know it looks like a lot, but it's all hyperlinked. So yeah, don't worry. It's not going to be 200 slides. So just for those who aren't familiar with Trend Micro in terms of who we are as an organization, we are the largest independent pure play security company around. So while Symantec exists and McAfee, obviously Symantec has the backup. Obviously they're going through a change at the moment, and McAfee obviously now being part of Intel. So as a pure play, pure security vendor, we are the largest on the market now. Been in the security industry for 26 years. We're actually founded in the US, but it was chosen that we would go to Japan as our headquarters at the time, because there was a few competitors in the US. The second biggest market was Japan at the time, and that was the reason for it. So headquartered in Japan, but we have R&D and threat research centers all over the globe. So we are a truly global organization. In 2013, our revenues were $1.1 billion. 2014, that grew by 6.4%. Just waiting for final numbers with adjustments in currency. Now, in terms of technologies we sell, so we have technologies for consumers, built specifically for the home environments, technologies built for small business environments, so they're optimized and simplified to make them have the feature set and functionality required for small businesses. And then we have our enterprise portfolio, which covers the mid-market and the enterprise segment. So I mean, to give you some idea of numbers, if you take the 50 top global corporations, so that would be 50 top 10 banks, top 10 oil companies, top 10 car manufacturers, top 10 pharmaceuticals, 48 out of the top 50 of those will use some Trend Micro technology of some sort. So, you know, we're well respected. We're in the biggest businesses around the globe, but also have a broad suite of products to service the small business and the consumer space. Around 5,500 employees. Two important things to call out. Threat engineers. So these threat engineers are those people that analyze malicious software, attacks, target attacks, command and control environments, botnets. They're the ones that understand how these behave and help our core tech and R&D engineers build products that protect our customers. Because it's an ever-evolving world. You know, AV as a pure AV technology, signature-based detection actually is really not very reliable nowadays, and you know that's the case for everybody. It's very easy to bypass traditional AV engines by creating unique software for an attack you're doing. So there's a lot more that's required around this, and that's why I wanted to point out that, you know, while we are thought about as an AV company, AV or security industry has moved on so much in terms of the technologies you require to be able to protect customers properly, and we'll cover how we do that. But importantly, we have a huge number of threat engineers to make sure we understand the threats so we can build the right products and solutions. And generally, we engineer all of our products in-house. So from a centralized management, cross-pollination, cross-platform, we are able to interoperate across the portfolio, which is very, very important. We have over 500,000 commercial customers globally, and our own endpoints and sales feeding back into our global threat database is over 150 million. We have partnerships with Facebook, Twitter, and other third parties that provide us a huge amount of threat information as well. So hopefully that gives you a view of what Trend Micro is. So when we start to look at the portfolio, so the first thing in the cloud, you see Smart Protection Network. This is our global threat database. This is known blacklists, whitelists, of file whitelisting, web reputation, email reputation, IPS rules for network-based vulnerabilities, and so on. So everything, all of our products will feed into and take information from that global cloud threat network. You know, it is very, very comprehensive. I'm not going to go into numbers and speed because everyone will tell you theirs is bigger, faster, better. Ours is very good. Was one of the first out in the market. I will say it's one of the biggest and best, but you know, it's irrelevant because it's just lots of numbers. But the important thing is it integrates into all of our product sets. So when we look at these three pillars or buckets, we've tried to make it simplify the way we talk about our portfolio. So the first C, complete user protection. This covers what I would call all of the traditional technology. So this would be endpoint security, whether it's anti-malware, device control, encryption, application control. It also covers technologies that will protect users in their day-to-day use of IT, so web security, web filtering, application filtering, email security, security for their mobile devices, security for their SharePoint interactions, their Microsoft Link interactions, all of those pieces that sit in that general endpoint web email space. But also extend to things like Office 365. So there is not just on-premise technologies, but cloud-based security as well. Then when we move to the second one here, custom defense. So custom defense is really a brand new set of technology. It's a separate set of technologies which has been in development probably for the last 5 years, but it's only for the last 12, 18 months we've taken them to market, and there's really been a need. It's advanced malware detection capability. So network analysis, network traffic analysis to look for suspicious or malicious activity, and also integrated sandboxing to analyze files which, you know, traditional known bad signature engines miss because they might be unique in an attack. But when executed on a virtual machine that mirrors the endpoint environment, we're actually able to ascertain whether it's malicious or not. So this integrates back into the traditional products by supporting, giving sandboxing capability, by developing signatures on the fly for endpoints based on local threats rather than just global threats, and very, very cutting edge, high revenue, lower demand at the moment because customers aren't ready, but we are starting to see, you know, very, very big growth in that area, but we're starting from a small base. Then we have cloud and data center security. So this is security that's been optimized to run in virtual and cloud-based environments. So what do I mean by that? Well, traditional, why does this keep happening? Sorry, my screen keeps pausing. So traditional security doesn't work very well in virtualized environments. It's not built for it. The DR and the flexibility that virtualization gives you makes security work very poorly, and also having to put security into each virtual machine can often really damage the or greatly reduce the benefits customers see from moving to virtualization. So this is a set of anti-malware, IPS, firewalling, integrity monitoring solutions that, one, are optimized to run within virtualized data centers, especially when we're looking at VMware environments, but also Hyper-V, Zen Server, etc. But also where customers are starting to move to public cloud environments like Amazon, like Microsoft Azure or VMware's vCloud Air. All of those, we have connectors into those so we can also secure their instances within those cloud environments as well. So they're different buckets depending on the type of area that the customer is looking at. So what does that mean in terms of functionality? One important thing is we have a product called Control Manager, which enables centralized management and visibility across all of those products. Now, some are more integrated than others, but ultimately every single product we have can be tiered up into a single pane of glass centralized manager. So it makes that visibility across the whole estate. It greatly reduces operational costs by driving efficiency when looking to manage multiple different security solutions. So complete user protection, as that was the first one we talked about. So some of the key functionality, we'll touch on the products themselves. So we talked about anti-malware. So anti-malware would cover things like signature-based detection. It would cover things like behavioral monitoring, so looking for applications that behave in a malicious type way. So that's a heuristics capability. Browser exploit protection, USB scanning. You know, if you've got any removable media, is there anything trying to execute from there? So that covers quite a few different elements. Content filtering. So when we're looking at email, you know, stopping certain file types coming in, looking at messages for URLs or attachments which might be malicious or linked to malicious software. Data loss prevention. So data loss prevention not only on the endpoint, so you can control different channels, but data loss prevention over the web gateway, over email, over SharePoint, over IAM security. So DLP is not a separate solution. It's tightly integrated into each product and be just turned on with a license key, and it makes it very easy to deploy and very easy to manage. Encryption. So endpoint encryption, full disk encryption, and file folder removable media encryption. That is available within the endpoint portfolio. Device management, application control, so that would cover both your mobile devices, so we have a mobile device management platform, mobile application management, mobile security. But also on the application control, this can also extend to Windows environments. So being able to define what applications are able to run on a specific endpoint or specific user's device. There's sort of three benefits to this. Firstly, you know, companies want to be able to control what applications run on there, which might create a data protection risk. So let's not allow those that might synchronize data out automatically. They might not want to allow applications which are very heavy on the endpoint and reduce the lifetime or life expectancy of that PC. And then probably the most important one, as I said at the beginning, anti-malware engines, you know, while they try and keep up, traditional signature-based detection is bypassable. So I can create a brand new unique sample. It will miss, the signature engine will miss it. Now, all malicious software is a piece of software. It's an application. So if it does get through and tries to install itself, the application control will check, is this a approved application to run on this endpoint? If it's not, it will stop it running. So from that result, it gives you that catch-all functionality to stop malicious applications running on that endpoint. Okay, so I certainly see now customers looking at this where they're educated to say, right, this is a standard deployment I need to have on my endpoints, and I think it's important that we ensure that customers are aware that this functionality exists. And you know, this is an easy solution to deploy. You can lock down an endpoint, so what's installed is approved and nothing else can be installed, or you can approve specific application types or just anything that is approved safe by us. Then we also have device control. So device control, the ability to control what functions work on an endpoint, down to the detail of on USB specifically, being able to specify a make, model, and even serial number of a device that can be added into or connected to that device. And tying that with the file and folder removable media, we can actually force encryption on data written to a USB as well within that portfolio. Then when we look at email security, so we have email security for on the mail server, both Exchange and Domino. We have a mail gateway solution, and we have a hosted scanning service in the cloud. So that does your anti-spam, it looks for malicious attachments, malicious URLs. It also can, as I said, do DLP, and we have add-ons like email encryption as well, if you want customers to need to be able to encrypt emails between certain senders and recipients. Web security. So web security is integrated into the endpoints from a web reputation. So that web reputation is our database of known threat sources or command and control locations. We also have gateway and hosted gateway technology, which can also do website filtering by time of day, by category, by user, application filtering by time of day, by user, both on-premise and in the cloud. And that both the web security and email security can also do sandboxing when integrated with our deep discovery technology as well. And it's not just sandboxing that it can do, but we can also automatically generate blacklists on malicious activity that we find from deep discovery, which can be pushed out to the web gateway or other third-party gateway products, IPS products as well. And the final one here, vulnerability protection. This is a host-based IPS type capability, and what it does, it will look at the endpoint and say what is the OS that's running, could be Windows 7, what are the applications running, so Adobe Acrobat, Adobe Flash, Java, Internet Explorer, Firefox. It will look at all of those applications, it will look at the patch level of each of those, and then it will recommend the deploying of IPS rules for those bits of software where vulnerabilities exist but haven't yet been patched. So it enables you to stop the vulnerability being exploited without the software patch being rolled out. Not that this is a replacement for patching, but it enables very quick protection of a vulnerability. And in some cases, some customers will leave machines vulnerable. So Java, for example, customers develop their own Java applications. They have to run on a specific version. They can't allow the automatic updates. Otherwise, their application breaks. So they have to leave themselves vulnerable. In this case, this would be an ideal way of stopping that vulnerability being exploited. Other ones may be, there's still a lot of Windows XP, and when we talk about our server products, say Server 2003, you know, there's still a lot of customers using this, but there's no new patches coming out from Microsoft. So we can use the vulnerability protection to block the vulnerabilities that are found from being exploited, even though there's no software remedy for that. So it extends life or reduces the urgency to get XP replaced within that environment, or Windows Server 2003 as well. We have already stated we will support XP in 2003 until the end of 2017. So there's a lot of support for that, both on AV but also on the IPS module, which is this vulnerability protection. So hopefully that gives you a view of the capability. All of that comes under Smart Protection Network, and very importantly, the centralized management piece, Control Manager. All the functionality I've talked about there can be managed and can be visible from one single pane of glass. So very, very powerful set of capabilities. So that's the complete user protection, and as I talked about, that centralized management piece gives you that ability to enable the customer to do it from a single pane of glass. Custom defense, as I alluded to earlier, this is sort of advanced malware detection, targeted attack, APT detection. So this is appliance-based technology which, one, does network traffic analysis. So you generally, as a primary location, put this on the ingress-egress point to a network, so behind the firewall or the LAN side of the proxy, to be able to look at all of your email and web traffic, FTP traffic, but also any other traffic going in and out of the environment. We cover a broad range of over 90 different protocols and applications and all TCP/UDP ports. So we're looking for suspicious or malicious activity which might be part of an attack lifecycle, whether it's the initial compromise, whether it's lateral movement across the network, whether it's command and control call out, data exfiltration. We are looking for that behavior. But tied into that, we also do sandbox analysis. So we'll actually take files out of the network stream, execute them in the sandbox and ascertain whether they're actually malicious or not. So while they may have bypassed all of the traditional gateway defenses over email or web, we can still analyze that and say, actually, this file that was delivered to this endpoint has shown malicious activity because it's done A, B, and C, and it's trying to call out for this URL or IP. And then we can, from that, automatically block outbound communications to the URLs or IPs, but also if it was email, for example, we can actually hold emails in quarantine while we do that sandbox analysis, and only safe files will be forwarded. So there's inline blocking, and there's all just visibility of suspicious activity going on. But all of these detections can be pushed back to either Trend Micro technology, which you saw in the complete user protection portfolio, but also third-party vendors like HP, IBM, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Cisco, etc. So we have the ability to provide blacklists to those technologies as well. So that's custom defense. Then when we look at our cloud and data center security products, so these are, as I say, technologies that have been optimized to run within virtual environments. So when we develop Deep Security, which is the main product behind this, it was built as a server security product. So it was built as a single agent to run on physical server environments. Then as virtualization started, we worked very closely with VMware to help them develop APIs to get access to the file stores and to the network traffic on the hypervisor. So we effectively can give individual virtual machine security without the need to deploy software onto every virtual machine. We would deploy one virtual appliance per hypervisor, and then via the API within VMware, we can actually secure those virtual machines with various different policy, whether it's anti-malware policy, whether it's web reputation, whether it's intrusion prevention, which is the virtual patching, whether it's firewalling, integrity monitoring, which is needed in certain more regulated environments like PCI, etc. Log inspection. So all of that, excluding log inspection, all of that can be done agentlessly within VMware virtual environments. And even if it's a Hyper-V or a Zen server or an OpenStack environment, we can still do all of that functionality with only need for one agent, not for 5 or 6 different agents, which would be the traditional approach. And very importantly, we integrate into the virtualization management software. So VMware, we integrate into vCenter or vCloud Director. So whatever happens within vCenter is replicated within our management console. And then from there, we can automate security. So if the customer spun up a new virtual 2008 server, we can have a 2008 server policy which will automatically deploy an anti-malware IPS firewall policy for that specific server type without the customer having to do anything. That will all be automated as part of the event-based tool. So very, very powerful in terms of what it can do. So that's the virtual environment. And what we've started to see is customers starting to take advantage of the public cloud like Amazon Web Services, where they can stand up servers for large amounts of data processing, or where a large number of transactions are required in a short period, where they don't have to make the investment themselves for something that's not going to be used as much. They can utilize the public cloud. And also, just from a pure cost perspective, it's easier to have someone else manage the infrastructure. Amazon have the economies of scale that most businesses don't have. So customers are looking to move more and more of their instances or workloads to the public cloud. And again, they want to be able to secure it properly. The only problem with that public cloud environment, that traditional perimeter defense, having a firewall, having an IPS on the network, disappears. Deep security, or this solution here, enables customers to have that individual control over an individual workload, so an individual Windows server or Linux instance, but give it its own anti-malware, IPS, firewalling policy that can be controlled centrally from the single pane of glass, along with virtualized environments or physical server environments. No matter where that security is deployed, it can all be managed through that single pane of glass with all of this functionality that's listed up here. A couple of other things we do within the cloud and data center piece. So encryption. So again, if I've got an instance in the public cloud, I don't necessarily want that data that's associated with it to be accessible to the provider, or if someone broke into that server. So we can encrypt the data volume or data store associated with that virtual machine in that public cloud. So effectively, think about it as sort of a full disk encryption technology, which can exist within a public cloud environment. And then finally, web app security and also SSL. We're a root certificate authority, so we can scan public-facing web assets from our servers, highlighting vulnerabilities, malware, URLs that might be embedded, also poor coding, and help protect those web applications with using IPS. And this can all be automated through the scanning service. And as part of that, we also offer SSL, unlimited SSL certificates for a certain number of domains for customers if they want to consolidate away from, say, vendors like VeriSign. So hopefully that gives you a view of the cloud and data center portfolio. Now, I know this looks like a busy slide, and this will be probably a good reference for you later on. The slides will be made available to you. Each one of these in red is a product by Trend Micro. You can click on any of these. See, as I hover over, you get the little hand. If you want more information on each one of these, you can click on them to get more information on each one. But hopefully this gives you a view of where stuff sits. So from a product perspective, Office Scan is the solution that does the anti-malware, the enterprise anti-malware and device control, DLP, etc. So that's the product Office Scan from the endpoint perspective. Endpoint encryption is the full disk file and folder removable media encryption. Again, endpoint technology. Application control and whitelisting, which you talked about, again, that's an endpoint solution. Vulnerability protection, data loss prevention, all of those we would consider endpoint protection solutions. Rather than you having to sell these as individual components, to make things easier, we created 2 new smart protection suites. And really that was to try and cover, make things easier for customers, rather than having to say, well, which components do I want? Here is an endpoint suite, and here is a complete suite which has all of your web and email security as well. So it's really about trying to help customers consolidate multiple security technologies under one single pane of glass to make that operational efficiency. So when we talked about these 2 new suites, one, they cover all of our both on-premise and service-based products where they exist. They include 24/7 support direct to Trend, which we didn't have in the past, so that will help considerably. Single activation code rather than lots and lots of different licenses to try and make things easier, and just two choices. So there's smart protection for endpoints. That has the anti-malware piece, device control, behavioral monitoring, the vulnerability protection, the application control, the endpoint encryption, and the mobile management and mobile security, because a mobile device is still an endpoint. This covers Windows, Mac, Linux, and NetWare, so broad coverage in terms of OS support. In terms of the centralized management, it comes with Control Manager Advanced and includes the 24/7 support. And for the endpoints, it includes the integrated data loss prevention, which can be turned on. That can be in monitor mode or blocking mode, depending on what the customer wants. But the endpoint suite covers all of that technology. So they've been very aggressively priced because we want our customers to get the best protection. Now, beyond the endpoint, if a customer has email security that they wish to replace, whether it's ClearSwift or WebSense or Proofpoint or McAfee Semantic Dispersal, etc., we have both solutions for the mail server, for the gateway, and as a hosted service. Secure Web Gateway, replacing any web service, whether it's a hosted service or an on-premise web gateway, you get both included in there, and also security for SharePoint and Microsoft Link. So very, very broad coverage. So while I'm going to show a lot of products, most of them exist within just those 2 suites. So when we move out to email, for the mail server, we have a product called ScanMail, very advanced mail scanning product, but also can not only do anti-spam and mail security, but can also enable you to search the mail store for specific emails, and there's loads of different search terms, but also the ability to do historical mail store scanning. So something might have got through today, but tomorrow it's discovered that it's malicious, and that can retrospectively go and scan. There's integrated data loss prevention. There's also sandboxing with the power of the deep discovery analyzer over here, so we can send attachments over to be analyzed. There's a mail gateway called Scan Messaging Security that does the same as the mail server product, but is an inline device or a mail transfer agent. But this can also do the email encryption, and then we have hosted email security, which is the cloud-based service. So that suite has all three of those options in it. The customer can use one, two, or all three if they wish. From a web security perspective, we have Interscan Web Security, which is a on-premise gateway, which can be in a transparent proxy, forward proxy mode, reverse proxy mode, and does all of your application web filtering, but also does DLP, and can do, again, sandboxing via the deep discovery analyzer. Now, if the customer doesn't want to have on-premise web gateway, or they're highly distributed, we also have a web security as a service, so basically the same functionality but in the cloud. Yeah, that can certainly give customers flexibility. And we will be cloud app security here. So this will be launching in May. This is a fully integrated anti-malware, DLP, and sandboxing capability for Office 365. So it actually sits within the Microsoft data centers and uses API to do the email scanning, SharePoint scanning, and OneDrive scanning for AV, advanced AV with the sandboxing and data loss prevention. So that will also be included in that complete suite. So that will be launching it in May. So again, it's an email security product, but instead of being an on-premise or separate cloud service, because obviously you could use hosted email security to pre-scan, but this actually sits in the customer's Exchange environment via the APIs within Office 365. Portal Protect is security for SharePoint, so anti-malware scanning, URL scanning, DLP, all the things you'd expect to have. And then we have IM security, which is security for Microsoft link environments, so that instant messaging, the old Microsoft OCS. Microsoft's tending to give this away a lot more as part of enterprise license agreements, so a lot more customers are deploying it. And if customers want to be sure that it's not being used to distribute malicious files or link people to malicious sites via URLs, or you want to run DLP over that, that is all possible with the IM security. The deep discovery technology, so this is, I say, the advanced appliance-based technology, so it looks at traffic going across the network, it has sandboxing integrated into it, but it can also provide automatic defense back to the email web products as part of its capability. And shortly we'll also be able to do it for Office Scan. So Office Scan here, which at the moment gets all its threat information from the Smart Protection Network, global threat information, we will also be able to create from Sandbox Analysis automatic signatures and cleanup templates that can be propagated directly to the Office Scan products, and that'll be coming in May, where you can actually do containment of compromised endpoints and cleanup, but only for specific unique samples that only exist within that customer's environment. So you get the benefit of the global threat data, but you also get the ability to not only detect 0 days, but protect against and clean up automatically once they've been identified. And then we talked around the cloud and data center product. So deep security is the main product that gives you all of that integration with VMware for anti-malware, for host-based IPS and that virtual patching capabilities, and then Secure Cloud gives you the encryption in the cloud as well. There's a few other products in the portfolio. On the mobile side, we have a cloud sync and share solution called SafeSync. We have mobile security, which is also included as part of the suite, which gives you that mobile management for iOS and Android devices, BlackBerry devices. And then Safe Mobile Workforce is really a sort of containerization technology, but using virtualization instead of on-device containerization. So it enables you to create centralized phone instances which can be connected to from any device, where you can have pre-provisioned apps and corporate email and stuff. But the joy of it, it doesn't actually deploy any data onto the device. It uses screen scrape technology to present it to that mobile device. So you get the best of both worlds. So you can deploy any standard APK as an Android-based solution. You can deploy any standard-based APK file into that container. It doesn't need to be specially built, and no data ever resides on the mobile devices. So if you've got customers that have data protection concerns with BYOD, it removes that issue completely. Then we have over here solutions for more industrial control systems, POS environments, SCADA systems where you want to be able to lock down embedded systems so nothing can be installed on it, but you might have air-gap networks which you need to be able to scan devices. So portable security is a USB scanning utility with all of the AV engine already on it, and you just walk up to a machine and scan it as you need. So hopefully that's given you a good view of the portfolio. One thing I didn't mention, as part of the endpoint suite and complete suite, not only do we offer Office Scan, which is our enterprise on-premise anti-malware solution, we also offer worry-free business security services, which is our hosted endpoint solution as well. So you can use one or both in a customer environment, and obviously the joy of a hosted endpoint is you don't need any on-premise management service for that. So maybe retail or highly distributed networks or a lot of mobile staff, worry-free services would be a good option. So the plan is, in subsequent sessions, is to go into each of these in a bit more detail, but hopefully this has given you a good overview of what Trend can offer via E92 within the portfolio. So to make things easier, we also have a lot of third-party integrations. So here, give you some of the operating systems we support, some of the integrations we have, partnerships we have with various different providers, depending on which portfolio you look at. So custom defense, so our integration with SIM solutions like HP ArcSight, IBM QRadar, Splunk, actually OEMing certain technologies to other vendors. On the cloud and data center, having that integration within those big virtualization and cloud-based providers, and your traditional device-based OS, making sure we've got partnerships to be able to protect properly. We also win lots of awards, so Deep Discovery, our APT solution won top breach detection product in terms of detection capabilities, also from a cost of ownership was very, very well priced. We consistently do very well in third-party testing around our AV and anti-spam engines, and actually in terms of service security, we are #1 in terms of service security market share because of the capability and power of Deep Security as a product. Again, this just highlights where some of those products fit within some of the partnerships we have. So in terms of partnership levels, we have four partnership levels. Bronze, and you can see you get, depending on your tiering, depends on the discount levels you can get, deal registration discounts you can get, so we'll help you protect deals you find, so you can get additional discounts on those deals. You'll get NFR products, and depending on what status you are, you can also have market development funds to help do marketing activity and develop internal incentive programs and so on. There's also a huge breadth of training facilities or training capabilities, which we'll show you in a minute. So in terms of where you need to be, so to become a bronze partner, you just need to do 2 of the online sales training, but up to gold, platinum, there is revenue gates, but also classroom-based certifications need to be done by your team members as well. We have a Go Social program which helps you communicate out trend stories to your social environment. You can either automate it or choose which stories to send out, and this just makes it an awful lot easier. You don't have to think, you just say, yeah, press and send, and actually those are automatically propagated out to all of your social media channels. There is a partner portal, so if you aren't already signed up as a partner, I would recommend you do it. The URL is here, so it's trendmicro.force.com/en, and just click register here. within 24 hours you'll hear back with your account details. From here you can then get visibility of all the promotions, product information, get access to the training facility. So there's an online training portal. So here you can see you've got sales and technical training for each of the product areas I talked about, and you can also book up to classroom-based certifications on Office Scan, Deep Security, or Deep Discovery. And if you do have interest in those, please speak to your E92 account manager that you would like to go to and join one of our certification classroom courses, and we'll let you know the availability of those. So we are running a few free of charge sessions for our partners. But as a starting point, doing the sales and technical online courses is very much worthwhile, and you'll see each of the products is covered covered there. So hopefully that's given you a good view of the full portfolio and how that all is covered across the centralized control manager platform. That brings me to the end of the presentation. So I suppose I'll open it up to questions. If you want to put any questions into the chat window, I can try and answer those now. Or alternatively, if you've got questions that come up afterwards, either speak to your account manager at D92 or send myself an email, which is james_walker@trendmicro.co.uk. As I said at the beginning, the slides will be made available via E92 shortly afterwards. So let me know if you've got can get to those okay. So there was a question here. Oh, there's a few questions. So is custom defense deep discovery an additional cost for included in the base consumer solution? So the deep discovery is an additional purchase outside of the suite. So they would be required. You would have to buy an additional appliance, additional cost. Next question. Are Gartner in the magic quadrants for email, web, DLP? Yes, so for email, for web, for endpoint, we are in the top right in all of those magic quadrants. So feel free to have a look at those. But with the endpoint one, we've been in the top right for the last 12, 13 years. So no, we're very well respected in the enterprise space, and we have a lot of capabilities in those. So yeah, you shouldn't have any concerns about where the capabilities we have. Okay, when you spoke about cloud, is data stored here in the UK? It depends on the product. We have various data centers around the world. Most of our services are run out of our data center in Germany, which is part of the EU. And we found Germany to be a better place because their local data protection rules are more stringent. Having said that, products like our email encryption product, that is done out of our UK data center. And for our web security as a service, we have local point of presence to get to the back-end servers in the UK. So users have a seamless experience, and they come in and out of the UK, so they get presented with the right ads and things like BBC, iPlayer works, etc. So those are all the questions I had in the chat window. So if there aren't any more questions to be asked, I will end the call here. And I said, if you've got any questions that come later on, feel free to speak to your account manager at E92 or send myself an email on the email address on the screen there. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time, and hopefully that's been useful to you. Thank you.